Most of us were taught that hustle and stress are the price of success. But what if that belief is keeping you stuck? In this episode, stress freedom coach Erin Wallen reveals how shifting into ease can actually expand your clarity, your joy, and your results. Come join us. Women's Wellness Authority is your go-to podcast for discovering the hidden gems of holistic health and well-being. In each episode, we dive deep into the many layers of wellness, from mental and physical health to spiritual growth. Through insightful interviews with experts, healers, and thought leaders, we uncover alternative approaches, healing practices, and fresh perspectives that empower you to transform your life. Whether you're seeking innovative ways to heal your body, your mind, or nourish your soul, this podcast offers practical tools and wisdom to help you thrive in all areas of your life. Let's rewrite the rules of wellness together. Step into your power, reclaim your health, and discover what it means to truly thrive from the inside out. Welcome back to Women's Wellness Authority. I'm your host, Diana Raskowski, and today's conversation is for every ambitious woman who's ever worn busy like a badge of honor. My guest, Erin Wallen, also known as the Stress Freedom Coach, knows this struggle all too well. For years, she hustled hard, looking successful on the outside while running on fumes from the inside. And like so many of us, she had been conditioned to believe that stress was just part of the price of success. I can totally attest to that. But here's the truth. Stress does not have to create success. It actually limits it. And now Erin helps high-achieving women, especially moms and entrepreneurs, trade stress for ease by working at the root, the nervous system. And from that foundation, everything shifts. Your results, your relationships, your presence, and even your joy. In this episode, Erin shares why stress is actually the brake pedal holding you back, why ease is the true power move, and how embracing the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual patterns of ease can help you create success that finally feels good. So sign me up, Erin. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
So, Erin, you call yourself the Stress Freedom Coach. Can you share a little bit about what you led into this work and what that means to you?
Yes, thank you so much. I always say that I'm my own first client. So my background is as a clinical pharmacist. Even prior to that, I was always driven, high achieving, really never questioning if I set my mind to something, if I would or would not achieve it. So I pursued my doctorate in pharmacy. I worked at a hospital right out of college, did different entrepreneurial work, and I've always achieved really fast, but it always came with a lot of stress. It kind of reached a tipping point a few years after I had my son, where I kept chasing after these goals, but I started to notice I wasn't super present with my child. My marriage wasn't in the best place. I was starting to get some physical symptoms, and I realized I couldn't keep achieving at the expense of other areas in my life, and there had to be a different way. So now we're several years into this journey, but I have been so excited to find not only in my life that there is a science-backed way to achieve without stress. It's actually what allows us to achieve more. And stress is really what holds us back, not helps us.
I think that concept alone is so interesting. So I've met Erin. She lives locally, but I sat in on one of her recent webinars around this concept. And I, like most women, I think, feel like unless I'm totally taxed out and stressed out, I can't be successful. And you sort of gave everyone on that call permission to think a little bit differently about that. And so that badge of being busy as that badge of honor, can you talk a little bit about what your season of hustle looked like and all the things that you were doing? And also maybe why do you think we feel like that we have to be busy and so stressed out in order for that to equal success?
Yes, such a good question. And there's so many factors at play. I mean, I know I was really raised in such a wonderful family, but that did prioritize hard work. And so many people that I do work with also kind of had that mentality, like work hard to achieve your results. And our brains as children prior to about 8 years old are sponges. So what we learn, the messages that we get from our family or from society as a whole, and we live in such a world that kind of functions on the do more to achieve more mentality. But that becomes so embedded in how we do everything. It's sometimes hard as adults when we start to question it with the awareness, like maybe this isn't true, maybe there is another way. It takes more than just that awareness to start rewiring those patterns. But a lot of what drives us is absorbed into us before we had any conscious decision. Like, do I want to take on this belief that hard work equals more success? So just living in the world that we live in or being raised like many of us were raised, it was not, I truly believe in my circumstance, my parents wanted what was best for me and believed that was the path to success. But it was something that I had to start questioning and doing differently.
So can we talk about maybe the myths of stress and success? When in your webinar, you were talking about, and this was really eye-opening for me. You were talking about mental, emotional, and physical signs of stress. I never thought of breaking it out in those ways. And it was very clear to me after you went through some of the symptoms that could fall within each of those categories where my most of my stress was manifesting. Do you find, and we'll kind of maybe go through each of those if you don't mind, maybe just share some of the mental signs of stress, and then maybe I'll hold off on my question, but what are some of maybe the mental signs of stress?
So to first explain, stress is this amazing system that we have built into us as humans to keep us alive. So when we are feeling stress, and there is probably a conversation, whether we have it here or later, about good stress versus bad stress, but I'm talking about the stress that you actually feel it in your system. So you're feeling the tension in your body. It can be very subtle, but it's almost like a light switch. So the purpose of stress is survival. Plain and simple, that's a fact. When we are in our stress mode, our body shifts in about 1,000 different ways to keep us alive. So this is great when we need to get out of the way of an actual danger, but so many of us are feeling stressed chronically on a daily basis, and it's getting in the way of functioning at our highest level. So as I mentioned on the webinar that we were on, it affects literally every area of your life. So on the workshop, I talked about physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual ways that can affect you. And this conversation could be infinite hours long because it really does shift everything you can imagine. So we can talk about some of the signs, but it's certainly not going to be limited to what we discuss. So to start on some of the physical signs, the first thing that I like to share with people is tension in your body. So many of us are experiencing tension in our body all the time that we actually we've lost connection to even noticing it. So I always recommend pausing, just scanning your body with curiosity. Do you have tension in your body? If you have any tension in your body, it just means that that stress system is active. And 80% of women in today's world, it's active all of the time. So just with openness and awareness, like awareness is always the first step. Do I have tension in my body? If you do, you're in the right place, and hopefully this episode will start to help that.
Yeah, I think walking into that seminar, I was like, I'm not stressed. And then I was reading the things and I was like, oh, yep, that's me, that's me, that's me. Because I think you're right. I think because we've been trained or whatever, however you want to describe it, we become desensitized to the way our body's feeling, or maybe what our body is telling us or our mind is telling us that I think I realized I was in fight or flight mode most days. And so never coming off of that or relaxing my mind or my body did take chronic effects on my overall health. So that's a great point. Just take a minute to pause and just scan your whole body to feel where you're feeling that tension.
And if I could also add, I love that you just said, you came in thinking, I actually don't feel that stressed. Because I hear this time and time again. I've had so many people tell me, they didn't even realize how stressed they were prior to doing some of the work that I offer. And even myself, I'm a product of the product. So I still have to check in. I still find tension in my body all the time. And being full on in fight or flight versus starting to have the signals, the real power is noticing the subtle cues that you're dipping into your stress system, because it's much easier to bring yourself back to what is safety. And that's when we have the clarity in our peak performance and we can really thrive. So you're certainly not alone. And I love that you brought that up, because it really is an invitation, if you're not feeling stressed, just to approach this with curiosity, because I have yet to find anyone where, that brake pedal's not on just a little bit.
Yeah. So what about some of the mental signs?
So the mental signs, if we really think about it, can kind of go in a couple different flavors. With our stress, we can go to a place of that fight or flight energy. So it might be ruminating over things, really busy mind, right? Like we're almost running away from something. It also can go to a place of shutdown or disconnection. So I do find a lot of worrying, overthinking, not being able to shut your mind off, maybe like tired but wired at the end of the night, that can really show up.
And again, I've experienced all those things and not equated it to stress. I've just been equated it to like, I'm just managing a million things, so I can't shut my brain down. And like, I got to just think about that and that and that and that and that. But that is my foot on the gas, right? And that's why the light bulb went off for me when you were talking, because I was like, oh, I'm not on the gas, right? And I'm like, holy crap, like my foot is all the way down, because those mental things are all happening to me.
And if we bring it back to right now, the statistics are 80% of women are stressed all the time. It's so normalized we can go on Instagram and see reels about overthinking, and it's like, oh, of course, me too, and me too. But it's knowing, again, there's no judgment, but this is just simply when you notice these signs, it's an invitation to how much easier things can be. Doing some things to release the stress is going to give you more results. So it's just, again, no judgment when we notice these patterns showing up. It's just an invitation that it can be easier.
The first step, I guess, is
100%.
Recognizing those things. Okay, what about emotional signs of stress?
So emotional, a lot of anxiety can show up. I do have anxiety, stress, feeling like really edgy or snappy. So those of us who are moms, I'm a mom. This definitely showed up when I first started the work. And honestly, it's a good cue to me now when I'm feeling a little more short with my husband or son. It's like an invitation. Okay, something might need to invite some more stress freedom tools in right now. So I noticed that. You can just feel lack of focus, brain fog. Again, so many things that we normalize is, of course I feel this way, or everyone talks about feeling brain fog, but these again are biological signs that your system is in stress mode.
And going back to it's the science too. I think that's what's so interesting, that you're a big researcher given your background. And so this isn't just like woo-hoo, like let me feel good, take a deep breath. Like there's science that's backed by the work that you do, which I think is really, really cool, and would love to maybe talk about that a little bit more. But what would you say is the biggest misconception that you see in your clients? So these high achieving women who, are entrepreneurs or mothers, where do you think it comes to for that stress and that success?
So a couple things. I think the first part is that awareness piece, like we've kind of touched on here. That stress might not feel like stress. We might be blind to some of the symptoms or even knowing how stressed we are. And then the second part is I talk about choosing ease, and ease really being on the opposite side of stress. And ease is what we can allow in more results. And I think people confuse ease with being easy. So really when we've been in our stress mode, I know for myself, I lived that my entire life. I wouldn't have put that language to it at that time, but I can see it now in that lens. I was there most of the time for many decades of my life, my body felt very familiar being in that mode.
Yeah.
So it wasn't doing me any favors, but choosing ease is a choice we have to continue to make. So I think when people want peace and ease and they want results to come in more easily, like everyone's like, yes, sign me up. But I think the misconception is that what I want will come easy. So it's choosing ease is going to be a process. It's going to be one that your body and biology will fight until you create the new patterns, new neural pathways that make it more easeful. So I think that's a big, I don't want to say roadblock, but it's something that people think they want and they do want, but it's not, it has to be a choice. And I usually find about 6 months of choosing it is when people really start noticing that shift of things being easier. And I always like to talk about like going to the gym, right? Maybe we want to be able to do a pull-up or something like that. And it's the same process. We can want it, but if we just go the one day, we're not going to get the result. It takes repeated choice to put in the effort to build those new pathways or those new muscles.
Can we get a little scientific? And can you share a little bit about the science behind what you do?
Yes. Like specifically, what are you curious in?
So I'm stressed out, right? Like many women. And so some of the things that you suggest, and I know you have something called 4 patterns of ease. When you put those things in place, like what is actually going on in your body?
So every time we are stressed or ease, we're almost taking a vote to one side or the other.
Okay.
So when we step more into ease, we are teaching ourselves, we're almost, let's see if this would be a good analogy. I have a son, so everything refers back to like what he does in his life. But we have, if they're riding a bike, and they're riding that same path, it almost gets worn down. So every time you are doing something with stress, you're almost creating more of a divot to fall into that pattern. We worked through in the workshop the different patterns of ease so you can start to choose them. And every time you step into that, you're again creating a new divot of this ease in your body, in your system. You're showing your body that it is actually safe to be safe. It's actually safe to choose ease. So everything is about patterning in your body. So when you step into those ease patterns, it becomes easier to continue to do that.
Interesting. And then like, what's the psychological effect of when you work with somebody? Is it noticing that those physical, mental, or emotional symptoms subside? Like, how can I recognize, like, how do I know when I'm choosing this? This might be a really obvious question, but how do I know when I'm choosing stress over ease? Like, do I feel it?
Yeah, such a good
question. Do I
question.
feel it physically, emotion? Like, I'm just so curious.
I mentioned that 6 month period, I almost feel like is that really big tipping point for a lot of people when you're like, okay, I see it. And obviously I'm years in and I'm still choosing it and I see the benefit of where I can go. In the beginning, I say this work is often like compound interest. In the beginning, it's almost like okay, maybe I'm a little less stressed. Maybe my mind is not running as fast. Maybe it took me longer to snap than it did. And our brains and bodies are wired to have a negativity bias. So we are always going to be looking for what is not working. This is not working fast enough.
Why is that?
It goes back to survival, right? Like we have very primitive systems. So is it better that we remember something that caused us danger or something that caused us joy? It's going to keep us alive, the things that we remember danger. So if there is a question whether or not something is safe or danger, we're going to bet on danger every single time, and it's built into us for survival. So in doing this work, instinctively. So one of the things I love offering, and I didn't share this on the workshop, but is creating an evidence journal. So it's, again, we have to do stuff to train our brain to see the good. Oh, yes. We did it at the workshop, the in-person workshop.
Yes, I have it. Yes, I love this idea. Keep going.
I love that you have that. So the first thing, it's like, okay, deciding that you're going to commit to this, really knowing that this will not change overnight. If that working out analogy resonates, really thinking if I if I go to the gym today, I'm not going to really see the results. I need to commit for a certain period of time. So whether it's 6 months, 3 months, I would say a minimum of 3 months. But you would be surprised how small little efforts of choosing ease really do add up. So it's not this complete lifestyle overhaul that you have to commit to, but it is a choice that you're going to choose this daily or most days for several months. So then it's knowing in the beginning, I can maybe miss the signs that things are working. But if I have this evidence journal and I'm able to look back, where did ease benefit me? Where did I notice these patterns of stress? And just starting to build up this evidence of maybe like stepping a little closer to ease, your business didn't fall apart. Or that's when something unexpected came in. And it allows you to have tangible evidence of it working before maybe you completely feel it in your body. And this is also where I'll say, it is so powerful doing this work in community. Many of us have created patterns of stress in community, so we actually heal the best in community as well. And in a world that functions in stress, to create a community that is choosing ease, you're going to have so much amplification of your progress in a community.
Yeah, so the exercise, I attended a luncheon that Erin led, and it was all, I think, women who have their own small businesses. And we were just talking about what's our goal, say, for the next 3 months. And I've never done like an evidence journal. So we set our goal. And anytime something happens that works towards that goal, we put it in our journal. And actually, just last night, I taught a sound class. And I had someone attend. And I only had a few people this time. And I was a little down on myself. And I had the right 3 people there, because out of those 3 people, one of them was like, I want to partner with you. Let's do events together. Do you work with children? And I was like, that's evidence. That is evidence just to I was like, I'm going to do the class and just going to make it real special for these 3 people. And then look what happened. That to me, it was like that ease and taking that in allowed opportunity for future connection and success. And to me, that was like, I said to myself when I was doing it, as I was like, working on the bowls, I was like, I got to put this in my Erin journal. Like, this is evidence that it's working.
Oh, I love this. It is working. And I love that you shared that too, because just to add in like that thought that you had of the right 3 people were here, we often choose to shift our thoughts, right? Like choose to feel more easeful, less stressed by what we're doing or by shifting our thoughts. But our thoughts can only truly shift when we feel safe. So I'm sure I've experienced your incredible work as a sound healer, and I'm sure you were able to tap into a safe place that was offered that thought.
Yeah.
The right 3 people are here.
Yeah.
And our reality is created based on the thoughts we think, but we need to first feel safe enough to have access to those thoughts. So what a beautiful example that it is working for you.
And
amazing.
I know, I think as cheesy too as like a gratitude journal is, that to me is also, and I tend to be like an overly positive, glass is overflowing type of person. But when I do find myself not in that headspace, when I do gratitude journals, I recognize signs like if it's really hard for me to write like 5 things that I'm grateful for that day, that means I'm like not in the right mindset. And I've got to go back to focusing on the little things. And then the more you exercise those small wins, those small positive things, the easier that flow is, because it's like almost like my eyes have been opened to recognize and appreciate things better than if I just was like in this state of, I can't even explain it. I'm just not aware of the things around me, and I'm not present, and I'm not, appreciative of the things that are going on, because I'm so focused on the negative or what didn't go right or what is going to go wrong or, how frustrated I am, instead of just taking, I think I'm at this stage in all of this where I'm just recognizing how I'm acting or how my body's feeling, and I'm ready to like take that next step, to get in that ease.
And what a shame that gratitude is really looked at like, yeah, I know, almost cheesy, because
I
it is
know.
so powerful. And
Yeah.
to go back to this light switch of stress, like if we are feeling gratitude in that micro moment, we cannot feel stress. So it's again creating a pattern in our body that ease is safe. So anything that we can do and bring in that makes us feel easeful, it can be a gratitude practice. It can be, I talk about glimmers, and I talk about really looking for micro moments that break us away from the stress, the tension in our body. The more and more we bring them in, the more we see too. It's creating a vote that this is how we want to live and that it's safe to do that.
What is your glimmer theory? What does that mean?
So glimmers, this is not, I don't know actually where it came from, but I love them. They're basically the opposite of triggers.
Okay.
So they can be anything that sparks ease, peace, joy. So it's really, triggers can take us to a place of stress really quickly. Glimmers can bring us to the opposite place, to a place that we really want to feel. So it's kind of similar to gratitude, but I always recommend looking for glimmers each day, like setting the intention and then almost savoring them. So maybe it's, you hear a bird. I was sitting outside with my husband this morning and the birds were chirping and I just was enjoying it. Like it just felt so peaceful to me. So again, there's small moments, but these small things like compound interest, they add up.
I love the actually comparison to triggers, because everybody knows like that happens and it's a trigger for me. But do we ever say like that happens and it's a glimmer and it brings me joy, and focus on that, right? Instead of the negative aspect of it. I love that concept. And I can even think of glimmers, like just getting my 6-year-old off the bus is a glimmer for me, because she just is so adorable and smiley, and that just like brings me a little bit of joy. And then she runs away.
And thinking about it now, you get to experience that benefit now too, not just when you're getting her off the bus.
Yeah.
So that's what's so cool too.
Yep. Awesome. Maybe we can kind of talk a little bit about the tools. Maybe you can share with the listeners a couple tools that you work with your clients. You talk about putting the foot on the gas pedal, and what can we do to help ease that pressure on the gas pedal.
This is going to seem like a simple tool, but it is so powerful. One of the very first things I tell people is to start getting in a practice of a body scan. So our bodies are 4 times more powerful to determine if we're going to be in our stress state or our ease state than our mind. So when we get into our mind thinking, I'm not stressed, and our bodies are holding tension, our bodies are going to win every single time. And I know for myself and a lot of people that I've worked with who've prioritized the logic, it is a process to just reconnect with their body and feel what's going on. So I love, it's like, let's not just check in with our bodies when we're like, okay, I'm stressed. Like, where is it going on? Just building in that practice, starting that habit. I love suggesting when we're brushing our teeth, that's automatic twice a day when we are going to start this practice of habit stacking and checking with our body. So when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I'm going to be brushing and just scanning my body with curiosity. Where is there tension? So fun fact, a relaxed body can actually not feel stress. I'll share some tools that we can relax our body. And what will happen is we might relax it for a micro moment and then it's going to default back. But again, it's that compound interest thing that's going to help. So it's first noticing where I'm tense in my body. If I have any tension in my body feels stressed. It's really powerful to acknowledge that you are in fact safe. So again, the only reason for stress in our body is survival mode. So our bodies are functioning the exact same way. Our biology is functioning the exact same way, whether we're being chased by a tiger or whether we just feel like our email's blowing up and we have a lot of demands on us, right? Same function, right? And we can logically
our
think
body
this
is reacting
crazy.
the same way. That is crazy.
Yes. And of course there's a spectrum, but is that same light switch, like stress on, Let's keep us alive. So all these things that are going to be great to keep us alive when there's an actual threat are going to get in the way of getting through our task, like thinking clearly. Even stuff like our digestion and our rest and everything really is shifted. So getting into our body, noticing where there's tension, acknowledging like clearly my body does not feel safe, acknowledging that you are safe in this moment is really powerful. So my body doesn't feel safe, but I do know that I'm actually safe. And then actively relaxing your body. So I work with a bunch of science-backed tools, but we can share a couple. One is just literally relaxing your body, imagining almost like a wet noodle effect to see if you can release the tension in your body. It seems silly.
I'm like trying to do it right
again,
now.
Yes. And I'm going to share a breath technique that is one of my favorites.
Okay.
The other one's a ragdoll. So it's a position anyone can Google it, but a ragdoll is a yoga position where you fold over at your waist and just letting your tension release. And then one of the breath techniques that has a ton of evidence that I suggest all the time to do is called a physiological sigh. So what it is you're going to exhale all your air out. You're going to take a deep breath in through your nose, filling up your stomach. And then you're going to squeeze a little bit more air on top. And then it's a long exhale out. So one cycle of that alone has a lot of evidence to turn down the dial on stress. I can feel it every single time. I usually do 2 or 3 cycles. And then if you're a high achiever, like most of us probably listening, if you do build a practice in where you do it for 5 minutes, it actually has evidence that it decreases your level of stress for 24 hours. So that's a huge return on your investment. 5 minutes of that breath work, 24 hours of stress relief.
Okay, so I'm brushing my teeth.
Yes.
I'm scanning my body and feeling where I feel tension.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel tension in my shoulders. I acknowledge. Do you say it out loud or say it in your head? Does it matter?
It does not matter. Or do you want to do it in real time?
Okay,
yeah. Okay. So then we can see if you were just to scan your body right now, just with curiosity, where do you notice any sources of tension or tightness?
Yeah, shoulders and hips.
Okay, shoulders and hips. So if you were just to give it a number label, 1 to 10, 10 is the most intense, what would you rate that tension in your shoulders and your hips?
6, 4.
Okay. So just acknowledging again that your body does not feel safe, but you know in this moment that you are safe.
Okay.
You can do that out loud or in your head.
I know my body is, I know that my body is stressed, but I know that I am safe.
And then which one do you want to try? Do you want to try that breath technique?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, exhaling all your air out and then taking a deep inhale through your nose, filling everything up. And then squeezing a little bit more air in through your nose. And then a long exhale out. If you want to audibly sigh, that's fine. Or here, you can just do it quietly, whatever feels good and safe. And maybe just another round of that.
Okay.
And then just checking in. Did you notice any micro shifts? Are you still feeling 6 and 4? Did they go up or down?
Yeah, the 6 is a 4 here now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your hips?
I was more focused on my shoulders. But yeah, my hips they do feel a little better.
So this again is evidence, right? So this again, sometimes something I didn't mention before we were in real practice, but sometimes that number scale, how intense is this? That subjective label, so we can see it start to shift. The beauty of this work is when we can catch it at a 2, it's much like we can get back to that place where we're in regulation, where we're in ease. So the more we do this, the more we're starting to catch into our subtle signals before
I'm a 10. Yeah.
Yes. And we're human, right? Like we have this great system that's meant to keep us alive. So the goal is never to not be stressed. That's not biologically possible, nor would we want that because it does actually keep us alive. But it's recognizing how quickly can I recognize it, building that resilience to come back when we're actually safe and our bodies are functioning in a primitive way. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a great, I think, first step and an easy thing to do. What about, it doesn't matter, like, so you're brushing your teeth twice a day, but you're also going to lay in bed in the, you wake up in the morning or you go to sleep at night. Does it really matter the time of the day that you do those things? Like, is it better to, because I find if I meditate at night, like I feel better, like I start my day better if I actually meditate in the morning, and it like just starts me probably I'm doing what we just did, but not realizing it. I might be starting here and then I'm bringing my body here. But if I don't do that, I feel like then I'm probably starting here and then it's like, it doesn't matter what time of day you do these things.
So a couple of things. No, it doesn't matter. Done is going to be better than perfect. I am inherently a high achiever, and I know this conversations with a lot of high achievers. So it's almost like, well, give me more. Tell me the right way to do this. That can't be enough. But what I find is really starting so small allows the sustainability of this practice. So really trying to be like, okay, I'm going to do the body scan, but that's not enough. And adding in more and when's the perfect time can almost often lead us to not building the sustainability of that practice. I have a client in mind. Yeah, that like she's super high achiever, has done amazing things. So it was really this resistance of like, this can't be enough. And then really finding like, she now just does the body scan once a day because it was leading to patterns of shutdown otherwise. So just choosing once a day, if this is your first introduction to the work, trying just that practice whenever it aligns. If it's brushing your teeth or something else you want to pick that's a habit in your day, and just seeing what shifts. Maybe over the next week or 2 weeks, noticing, did that intensity shift? And maybe even if you're then noticing patterns in mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, start to shift too with curiosity, right?
I was going to
maybe
say,
you're feeling more connected. Yeah.
Yeah, and recognizing situations that you might have flipped out before, but now you're actually approaching them with a different mindset. That's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, Erin, we talk about the power of ease, and if we can live in that state, that we can actually be more successful. So because most people equate success to stress, it is hard for me to grasp that I can be less stressed and more successful. Can we talk about that concept a little bit?
Yes, I love that. So again, let's go back to that light switch analogy. So when we are stressed, everything in our body is shifting us to align with our safety and survival. So things like our clarity, our intuition, really knowing how all of our executive function skills, those are deprioritized. We do not need those to create safety from that tiger that's chasing us. So really imagining it's that shift, right? Like when I could release stress, that's turning the light switch back to a place where it's safe. And then all these things that are going to help me with my goals are going to start coming back online to fuel success.
So because I'm addressing and recognizing those things, my nervous system becomes more regulated, then I can think clearer, right?
Yeah.
Because
even from a biological standpoint, they have shown under the stress, blood flows away from the back of our brain, or from the front of our brain, which is our prefrontal cortex, which we have as humans in order to plan, be clear. All of our executive function skills are in the prefrontal cortex of our brain. So they can literally show the blood flowing away from that part of our brain in order to prioritize survival functions. So that is just one way that it shows up. But there's so many beautiful things that I've seen with people stepping into this work. A lot of times people are like, what's my purpose? And I want to feel purposeful. And by regulating, they all of a sudden have access to this wisdom and intuition that they did not have before. I'm like, yes, this is science, right? This is exactly what happens. So much opens up. If we imagine 1,000 things are shifting for stress, it's like that same 1,000 things are shifting when we take that brake pedal off of stress. So it's really a beautiful thing, but just to get curious of where are the areas that maybe stress is showing up? If this was not showing up this way, what would open up? Maybe I'm overthinking. If I was able to feel more present and balanced, how would that affect my business?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's such a interesting concept because if I'm pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself, the tiger is chasing me. I don't have time to be open to think of different, ideas or allow in those opportunities because again, I'm running. I just love that that analogy of like a tiger chasing me. And so how am I supposed to balance all the things if I'm constantly in that state versus how I felt after I took those couple breaths?
Yeah. Can I share one more science-backed
Sure.
tool?
Of course. I love science.
Let's go there. So there's one thing I love too, because so many people will say they've created a lot with stress, and that can absolutely be true. That's definitely been my experience as well. So it's not necessarily this hard like break, right? Like we're slowly pressing the brake, decreasing our results. And what they have shown is these patterns of working under stress kind of follow a bell curve. So as our peak performance exists, the most energy we can feel in our body before we tip over into stress. So that's that conversation we didn't get into, but many of your listeners, I'm sure, would be aware of that good stress versus bad stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how much stress can we build in our system without us starting to have those patterns show up, which are showing that our biology is in survival mode? The moment that we start tipping over is when our results start falling down the bell curve. So many of us who might be stressed might be here, still getting results. I know I'm doing this with my hands, and I think people are going to be listening to it, but you might still be getting results. If you're imagining a bell curve, you might still be getting results, but the more you continue to push, the less results you're getting, the more farther down the bell curve you're getting. And a lot of times, what I see with people who really push and really work under stress, they might swing, right, to the other side. So it might look like I'm pushing, I'm working under stress all day. And then I get home and I'm completely numbed out. I have nothing more in the tank to give. Maybe I want to just like grab the wine or watch the Netflix. So that's often a swing. So just knowing if you see results happening with stress, absolutely, I believe you, but know that more can happen even just with micro shifts of getting rid of the stress.
Yeah, because the opposite side of that is like then disconnection and not being present, right? I think everything you said literally was me. And I just needed to shut down at night. And then I was disconnected from my partner and disconnected from my kids and not fully present because like I felt like I had to do that to regulate.
And maybe you're not there too. And like maybe for me, my patterns in living this work, I'm not necessarily there, but there's still an invitation. Like, how much am I going outside, having stress creep in?
Yeah.
So sneaky. It is so sneaky. And it's like these subtle cues. So if you are in that swing, again, it's your biology. And if you're not, still getting curious of where is that break on a little bit, that if I let it off, results can flow in easier. Yeah.
Yeah. I know we didn't talk about this in the signs, but another sign is just like aimlessly scrolling on social media because that's like disassociating. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize too, that's a way for us to disconnect and like de-stress in a very unhealthy way, which when I sat in your webinar was really eye-opening for me. But
yeah, we could talk about all the signs like all day long because it shows up in so many ways.
So many different ways.
That is an invitation, getting curious, like, what is the sign? Is this a sign for me? And I'm happy to have these conversations. So you can DM me or email me. And I just think it's so fun and it's benefited my life. So I love sharing it and helping you.
So we talked about the consistency, the clarity, the community, the inspiration. Can we talk just a little bit about the community part and how I just think it's such an interesting concept that we create stress within community. So then how do you within community, if I'm individually doing these things, but I'm around people who are stressed out, like how do I regulate myself through that or help others around me? Or do I find others who are willing to do the work? And
so Our nervous systems are scanning for safety and danger constantly below our level of conscious awareness in three different ways. We're looking at what's going on inside of us. So again, there's so many things that go into that, our sleep, our nutrition, our movement. There's so many things that if we are not inherently getting, it's going to be sending a cue of danger. So what's going on inside of us? What's going on outside of us? So we talked about that in terms of the tiger versus the email list, right? But the third way it's always scanning for safety or danger is between people. So again, we're not consciously saying, is this person I'm around creating safety? It's assessing whether it's sending a cue of safety or danger. So other people who are stressed, and most other people are stressed, that's just the world we live in, are sending us danger signals. So why a community choosing to work on being regulated, to work on being safe is so healing is because we are getting that benefit of these cues of safety around us. We shared before the call that I just went on a retreat with 21 women who are living and breathing this work of nervous system work. And like, I get emotional sharing it right now because it was one of the safest places because I had 21 cues of safety and we were kind of away from most other people for most of the retreat. So we could just all amplify how safe we felt. So it's just built into the biology of our nervous system. So doing it in community with people who are choosing the work is going to be super powerful.
And I can only imagine. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was just going to say, can I add in one other thing? But go ahead and we can come back to it.
No, I think it is really powerful. When you think about feeling safe, and I'm sure everyone can think, if it's an individual or a place where you just feel at home, and then if you're surrounded by, a group of women who and you said some of them you've never met in person, but you connected.
Most of them.
Yeah. And then to get into an environment where you're all regulated and all safe, how much deeper those connections are and how quickly you might be able to talk about something that you feel really vulnerable about or something that's worrying you, and then to feel safe and then have, those people who are already regulated come back and support you is so incredibly powerful. So I can imagine I probably would have been bawling my eyes out the whole trip.
Many of us were. It was, but in such like a healing way.
In a healing way, yeah.
Yeah. So like one other thing I wanted to add in, because I do work with a lot of moms and maybe it struggles with the balance between professional and personal and feeling like they're not present or how they're showing up or struggling with maybe how their kids are behaving. And we want sometimes, I'm not a parenting coach, but sometimes we get this added benefit because this nervous system work affects everything. But when you show up more regulated as a woman, as a mom, you're sending cues of safety to everyone around you. So I can't tell you how many people, and this has been my own experience too, me doing this work for myself is not just a gift for me. It creates ripples of safety for my family, for my friendships, for everyone that I'm around. But also we're getting their cues. So this again goes back to why it's so important to be in a community, because as you're choosing this work, you also want to be supported. You really want to be filling your life with signals and people of safety around you.
Yeah. God, that's just so incredibly powerful. If I'm listening right now and I am just in that state of fight or flight, what would that one piece of advice be to me?
I think first, totally normalizing it. Sometimes women, when they start this is a lot of my experience, it's almost shame. Like, why didn't I know this earlier? So it's almost just recognizing this is the world we live in and it's okay. And also things could be completely shifted in a really short time with some small tweaks. So really this sense of hope that if you don't want to continue living in fight or flight, or maybe it's not fight or flight, but it's the overthinking or the tension in your body or feeling disconnected at home or with yourself, it doesn't have to always be like that. And maybe in a few months, it can really shift for you.
I think just the concept too, that it's not just a gift for yourself, but it's a gift for others around you. And when you talk about some of these behaviors, like being embedded in us since we were 8. So for all those mamas with really little kids, if you can regulate yourself, think about that, like almost generational impact you can have. Like, whoa, it's more than just like, I've got to calm down. But if I calm down, the ripple effect that really could have on my entire family, my relationship with my kids, my relationship with my partner, like it is not like woohoo, feely good stuff. This is like really, really impactful things that can change your, not just your life, but the life of your family. And I think it's those little steps, right? That could amount to something so incredibly big. So for those that are listening, Erin, how can they access your beautiful work and get in touch with you if they wanted to work more with you? I know you have a workshop that you're doing as well that's called The Power of Ease, where you go into more detail about all of these things. Can you share how we can reach out and get in touch with you?
Yes, I'd love to. So my favorite place to connect is Instagram. And I love just talking about this, putting out free content. So please connect with me. My handle's at Joy by Erin. I do have a Sunday email list. So there's links to sign up on Instagram, or you can email me at erin@erinwallencoaching.com. And every Sunday, I just like to share a tip on how to access this work and whatever's inspiring me. So it can be really completely different. And then if you decide like you are ready to take this work into your life, you're ready to be in a community, I am so excited because I have a program starting in a few weeks called The Power of Ease. And it's 6 weeks where you're really going to learn the ins and outs of how to start doing this work. You're going to have the community. And this comes with coaching with me for life quarterly. So you're never going to be left like, how do I implement this? New things come up all the time in my life too. And you're going to have access to me. Once you join, you never pay again, and you can keep popping back in and getting coaching from me.
Really, really cool. Okay. So the handle was Joy by Erin.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Yes. And I'll also say I joined Erin's community probably 4 months ago, and she's doing something right now called, it's the gratitude exercise. What is it? What do you call it?
So thank you for sharing that too. Yes. I have a free Facebook group called the Gratitude Collective.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we are doing a 100-day challenge, and we have incredible business owners like Diana that are sponsoring gift cards that we're just giving away each week, just to encourage the practice of gratitude. So we talked about that earlier. So it's really a fun way to be in community with other women who are choosing gratitude and choosing ease, maybe in a small way.
And I love, they're like just tiny little prompts. Like today's was, what's your favorite season? And I just go in and I add and I see what others are saying. And it's just, again, a little thing for me just to recognize for myself, to focus on something that brings me joy and that I'm happy about. So that makes me happy, I should say. But
yeah, thank you for adding that in.
Yeah. So Erin, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and heart with us today. I love the reminder that stress isn't the price we have to pay for success. In fact, it's often the very thing holding us back. So for everyone listening, I want you to take Erin's question with you. What does ease look like in your life right now? Because the truth is, success gets to feel light, joyful, and aligned when we give ourselves permission to do it differently. And if today's conversation resonated, I encourage you to connect with Erin and learn more about her work, including her Power of Ease course that we talked about, and really just start small. Just while you brush your teeth tomorrow, just think about, how does my body feel? Take that couple breaths and just be thankful and full of gratitude for where you are in that moment. So listeners, thank you so much for joining me on Women's Wellness Authority. If today's conversation spoke to you, share it with a friend, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube so you never miss what's next. And if you are enjoying the show, a 5-star review would mean the world to me and would help other women find us. So go in there, hit those 5 stars. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and most of all, stay well. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Women's Wellness Authority. If today's conversation inspired you, shifted your perspective, or sparked something within you, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who might need it the most. Have a story of your own or something you'd like to share? I'd love to hear from you. You can connect with me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Women's Wellness Authority. Please note the content shared on this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider regarding your health and wellness decisions. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and most of all, stay well. Thanks, everyone.